Today, we meet Jonelle Massey, founder of Agility Counseling Group. With over 20 years as a Division I athlete, a licensed mental health therapist, and an educator, she is leading the conversation in emotional agility and psychological safety. I cannot wait to speak with this incredible woman. Thank you so much for being here, Jonelle. Let's just jump in. You often say you focus on the person before the performance. What does that mean, and why is it so critical in today's sports culture?
Today, human beings are performing at a high level and fast. So even outside of sports, we are smarter, we're more resourceful. In the realm of sports, we are stronger, we are faster, and we're just performing at a high rate. And that's become the culture. And in that, we forget about the person and what it takes for them to continue to perform at a high level. I was talking recently with someone about records. Like I had an old high school record that stood for like 20 something years in sports. And nowadays, when we watch the Olympics, every year we see a record being broken. And I think that's just a culture and the expectation and the norm that we are performing at a very high level. And that's the expectation. And unfortunately, it's the expectation for the performer as well. And so when they have human experiences and they're responding with a lot of emotions and anxiety, they don't know what to do with it because they don't think they're allowed to. And so it's important for us to have the conversation about, hey, you're a person before your performance.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mhm.
From your perspective, what are the biggest mental health challenges facing student and professional athletes right now?
There,
Well,
there are a lot. I think actually self-awareness is at the top of the list. I think there's so much noise from people who are loving and well-intentioned about seeing their husband, their son, their daughter, their sister, their brother perform well and be successful. The joy is lost because that person is not self-aware about what they actually want and what goals they want to meet themselves outside of the noise. And so oftentimes my work is just asking them, what do you want? You know, are you happy about it? Do you have joy in what you're doing? And so self-awareness along with the pressures of family members and the pressures that they put on themselves, it tends to lead to anxiety and incongruence and depression and other things as well. But I think self-awareness and just pressures from
yeah.
people that love them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that always
Yeah. It's
seems to be the
always the
people
ones
that
who are
love you the
closer.
most?
Yeah. Yeah.
As a former Division I athlete and now a licensed therapist, how has your personal athletic experience shaped your approach to counseling athletes and teams?
I went into counseling because of my athletic experiences. In high school, participating in sports really saved me. I moved out of one neighborhood and went to another where a lot of people didn't look like me, experienced a lot of racism. And so being on the court, being on the field, being on the track all year long for 4 years, three-sport athlete, that kept me away from a lot of danger and just a lot of things that I wish
Yeah.
not to talk about. But so high school sports was my saving grace. And then I got to college and I had a coach who recruited me to play basketball, understood my weaknesses, recruited me as a project. And then I never played for him. And so my new coach at the college level inherited a project that I don't think she wanted. And so it was rough. I played
Mhm.
basketball at Xavier and I went for support. I went to talk to the Wellness Center, and I don't think people could understand why I would be upset about being at Xavier for free, playing a sport. There was no validation there, and there was no context to what I was experiencing. It was like, you're spoiled, Like
Yeah.
you should be grateful, or you should get rid of the stressor and stop playing. And that wasn't really, it was such a complex and layered situation. Like
Yeah.
playing basketball was paying for my education. And so I knew then that I needed to find an avenue where, I could help the next athlete and support that person and understand the culture of sports within the context of mental health.
There's so much to it. It's
Yes,
just
it is. And so every day that I see an athlete and they share with me the grief that they're having, the turmoil that they're having, the inner conflict about, do I really love it anymore? Am I burnt out? Like it's like me all over again. And
mhm.
so I can really connect and empathize with that. And so that's what drives me to do what I'm doing.
You work not only with athletes, but also with coaches, parents, and organizations. Why is a systems based approach so important when addressing mental wellness in sports?
Yeah, so I learned really quickly when I would just see student athletes and even college athletes one on one, and they started to talk about the system in their life, their coaches, their parents, and we would do the work,
Mhm.
especially with my high school kids. We do the work, and then as they're walking out of my office, and I'm seeing some of the stressors from the parents who are picking them up, it's like, dang,
Ah,
everything that we just worked
right. Well,
on.
there, that's going out the
So
window.
yeah, it's so I don't see high school, particularly high school athletes, without having parent family meetings periodically through our time together. And I found that even at the college level, like I was doing Zoom calls with parents of college athletes, like, and how do I call up a college coach? That can get a little tricky, and most athletes are going outside of their university for support because they're afraid that it's going to get back to their college. And what does that look like if I'm seeking help? Am I now a weak player? Am I not dependable? And so I want to create programs and alliances to get coaches, administrators, parents all on one board. I think it's important. I've had college football players talk to me about their way of using substances to calm themselves down. And I'm not an addiction
Mhm.
counselor. So I think that we need to have all parties in the room, all experts, to support the whole athlete. To someone who specializes in eating disorder, that's not me. But I need to have access to that. We need to
Right.
be talking to each other in order to, again, support the whole athlete.
Oh, great. What does emotional agility look like in action on a team, and how can leaders intentionally create psychological safety within their culture?
So emotional agility is something that I fell in love with. I named my counseling group after it, Agility Counseling Group. It is a framework by Dr. Susan David. And essentially, when you think about the word agility, it fits perfectly with athletes. When you hear coaches talk about the it factor, most of the
Mhm.
time they're talking about a player that is agile, something where they can move and be flexible and strong and fast all at the same time, and they can pivot and also adjust. That's huge, adjust. And so when I read this book about emotional agility, it's the same concept except with our emotions,
Mhm.
to be flexible, to be able to adapt. And I think the language works really, really well, not only in sports, but in corporations. And the concept is just being able to first be aware, but then also, how do I become agile? How do I downshift to neutral and still complete a task? So there's a lot of good juju in the framework of
Yeah, we all
emotional
need good
agility.
juju.
We all need good juju. And so, I mean, even when I work with corporations, I'm talking about empathy and emotional agility. I mean, those are the two concepts that I think are the leading forces in psychological safety,
Mhm.
and folks feeling safe enough to take calculated risk and being able to downshift to neutral in order to do that, regardless of if they're scared or timid or uncertain. They can still do that because they've got enough emotional agility for that. So yeah, psychological safety is about making a space safe enough for people to take calculated risk. And that just is explained on every court, field, ice when we talk about sports. It's calculated risk taking. And that's something that we're seeing out of athletes is that they're so scared that their next move is going to be a meme on social media.
Right.
They're
Right.
scared that the coach is not going to play them anymore. Like, we don't see kids taking calculated risk anymore, and it's affecting the joy. You know, that's the one place you could, like, I'm going for it.
Right.
You know, you don't do that on a
It's
test
no
in school.
longer-
You're like, I better study. Yeah, but it's the one space that really promoted folks to take risks. And now we're not seeing that anymore. And so we're not getting those leaders in CEO positions that were former college athletes. And we're thinking, what was it about them that we wanted them to be in this position? And we put two to two together and realized, oh, they know how to take calculated risks. They're fearless. You know,
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and so we're missing the chain of getting these CEOs that were former college athletes who understand psychological safety and emotional agility.
Okay. All right. Well, buckle up.
Okay.
With lightning round
I feel a little
questions.
long-winded, so I'm ready for the short answers
Okay.
here.
Pre-game hype song.
Phil Collins. With the drums.
Oh, in the air tonight.
In the air
love-
tonight.
Oh, yeah. Loving that. Coffee, tea, or something else?
Ironically, I can't choose, but I will say oat milk because I can't have a chai tea without oat milk, and I can't have a dark roasted coffee without oat milk.
Okay, we're going with oat milk. Okay, one word your athletes would use to describe you.
Consistent.
Okay. Favorite way to recharge outside of work?
I love being with my family, but particularly laughing with my kids. I have a 14-year-old and an 18-year-old, and they're hilarious.
Right in the you
They're
are right
annoying
in it.
at times, but
Yes, but awesome.
they are hilarious.
If you weren't in mental health and leadership coaching, what would you be doing?
When I first got here, I owned a consignment boutique.
Well, did not see that coming.
I know. I love a good thrifting. And it was really hard being a coach's wife at the college level, but I would do that again.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
you meet a lot of neat people, and they always have a story with their clothes. It's like counseling, actually.
Oh, sure. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you, Jonelle, and thank you so much for being a woman in the driver's seat.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jonelle, for being with us today and helping us understand emotional agility, as well as the pressure and stress that a lot of our young athletes are experiencing in this sports culture. It is time to hop in the car and hit the road and see who's next in the driver's seat.